All right, everyone. Welcome
Oh,
to our podcast. It's a live podcast called Transformation Talks. I am Judge Dawson.
and I'm Tierra Banks.
Oh, she has her thing on the lapel. You know what's interesting about these talks is that she's a chief probation officer. I'm a judge, but we are dedicated to trying to take all of this information, knowledge, and experience that we have and apply it to real world. So
Yes.
this is the second week that right
Third.
before our
Oh.
conversation, we get into these exchanges where I'm telling you, it seems to me that Mrs. Banks that you get really like you get personal about these things.
Well, just
We don't
because
have
I'm
to.
because I'm an advocate for all. Like
Okay.
honestly, I
But even advocates have to be neutral in order to help. Like you
well, I
can't.
am neutral, but
Okay.
you interpret my passion, you know,
There's a
for
lack of neutrality.
yes,
But I
exactly.
see. I think when people are trying to rise to another level of understanding in anything that you're doing, we do have to make sure we highlight our neutrality.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Right. And I think that we both love people,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And our overall goal is to create unity and love, promote peace, wellness,
Yes, yes, yes.
positivity, like those. I mean, we agree on those things.
Okay. So look, hopefully next week when we come on, because we come on every single Wednesday. I am committed. Mrs. Banks knows that if I say I'm going to do something, especially when I bring somebody else in on it, I'm going to do it. I'm committed
Hmm.
to it. So we will be here every Wednesday with our Transformation Talks podcast live right here on TikTok.
Yes.
And we're on Instagram at the same time. So the topic today, what we want to talk about today, the audacity of violence in our community. And this conversation started when we were discussing a shooting at a local Costco
Hmm.
where a young man shot a worker there. And
Hmm.
we were talking about gun violence, and Mrs. Banks brought up the fact that with the new laws and or everybody having a gun, does that raise the bar or lower the bar? And right there, I was like, you know what, that's something that we need to talk about with our family here, because that's something that we can all learn from. I know we have a right to bear arms,
Hmm.
but are we doing it correctly? What's your thoughts when you talk about or think about that situation?
Well, I think just with the prevalence of um, mental illness and just everyone seeming to lack self control right now, I just don't think that it's in our best interest for everyone to be able to walk around with a gun. It just seems like so many people are losing their lives senselessly, just because people are upset or offended, or, they just feel like their convenience, their privacy, their, accommodation is more important than the next person's, and people are dying for it. So I just don't know that it's worth it.
So here's the interesting thing about the Costco situation, right? So if
Yes,
you
I'm
don't
doing it
know,
correct.
at a local Costco in Ohio, a young man shot and killed, right?
Yes, the man later died.
An older person who was working as a greeter or just working in the store. So
Hmm.
I watched the arraignment, and the young man, when the judge asked him if he pleads guilty or not guilty, and the judge set a $5 million
Hmm.
bond, the young man got upset, and he started talking. That guy was threatening me. I think he even said a knife or something
Yeah,
like that. But he tried to
yeah,
talk. Of course, that's not when you want to talk. Your attorney wants you to
right,
remain silent,
right.
please. But from what I'm understanding is he's not even from Ohio.
No,
He's a driver,
yeah,
happened to be going there,
yeah,
and then this occurs, which
yes.
accents and highlights your point. Everybody is walking around with the ability to carry weapons, but do we have the mental capacity to do so?
Right.
And what do
Yeah.
we need to do? What would you suggest, in your profession
Yeah.
that we can do as even to me as a court, as a judge, to help make sure people have the mental capacity to carry a weapon?
I just think that people need to know where they are. Like people need to be able to, be evaluated and really be aware of where they are mentally at all times. Like if you are a person that you know that you cannot hold your temper, you quick to pop off, like maybe you aren't the individual that should carry a gun. If you're the type that's scary and you think that I'm not about to be fighting, somebody come to me, I'm just gonna shoot them. Maybe you aren't the type that should just be carrying a gun. Like a gun is literally made to do one thing, and that is to kill. Like
Right.
that's the purpose of them, whether you killing an animal or a person. So if that's not your intention to be a killer and you are unstable, then you might not be an individual that need to carry a gun.
Speaking of instability, right? Just recently, the other day in Florida, a Taco Bell employee shot at three customers after one tried to fill the water cup with soda. Now, how many times have you done that? When you've gone to a store, you say, "Can I get some water?"
I
And
don't
you
do
end up,
that.
you don't do that? Okay,
No,
maybe
I
it's
do
just me.
that.
Okay, well, both of us there. I mean, but it's crazy because again, just the fact that this young man had a gun, he took it to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like, first of all, you don't own that franchise. It's
Mm-hmm.
just pop or soda,
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But you know what we don't talk about is what happened in between the time he said, "Hey, stop filling your water,"
Right.
to the time he shot.
Right. And it could have been a whole bunch of things that happened.
Right.
But was any of what happened worth, allowing this situation to escalate to that level?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but I think it flows straight in. Do you believe that it's just because everybody is so focused on being accommodated? Like everybody wants to be respected and considered and
Oh
accommodated.
gosh.
And like, so we're like, like how is that playing out in all of these fights and killings and beatings and crime?
Right. And as a
Like,
judge, I hear it all the time. Like when they're standing before me, he didn't respect me, or the
yeah,
officer has to respect me.
yes,
Respect is mutual.
right,
But then at the same
right.
time, respect comes in levels. Now, this is a whole conversation. I need to make a note because we
Mm-hmm,
need to talk about that separately. Mothers deserve a certain level of respect.
mm-hmm,
Like your daughter and your son, they're going to respect you just because.
mm-hmm,
Same applies to every other level of profession. Like
mm-hmm.
I hate to say it. I mean, police officers, judges, prosecutors, the person working at McDonald's. I mean, when you walk in, they're the person taking your order. Yes, you're the customer,
Mm-hmm.
but they deserve a little bit of respect. So,
Yes.
but we need to talk
Great
about
point.
that. We need to talk about that later because
Yes. Somebody
that's
just said people need to respect a life and value it. That is great because that's what I was gonna say. Like, because respecting all of those people, respecting authorities, respecting the service providers at the restaurants, at the gas stations, in the courtroom, respecting those people is a reflection of you respecting yourself and respecting life.
I agree.
Period. Like if you are a respectful person, then respect does not have to be earned. Now you start out respecting people. If they go left, then sometimes we have to adapt accordingly, but we're starting out like these situations are not going from 0 to 100. They're literally starting at 100.
And I like what you said because not only do you start out with respect, but you still give compassion to people. So
Yeah.
even as a judge, I had a woman before me today. We do a docket in the morning. I had a woman before me today,
Yep, it is.
and when people walk up,
Right.
I start to evaluate who's in front of me, and then when they
Yes.
begin to speak, I start evaluating the people in
Right.
front of me. But at no point do I devalue them
Right.
as a human being.
Right.
I don't
Right.
care if you can tell that they don't have a lot of education, or they don't
Right.
have a lot of money, or
Right.
whatever
Or
they're
if they come
going
in here
through.
with all of their
All
belongings
of their
because they're
belongings.
living on the
The
street.
woman today had a traffic case and said, "Judge, I need my car. I'm living in my car."
Yeah.
But that didn't
Yeah.
change. Right. So, you can give, respect to other people, but at the
Absolutely.
same time, you can even figure out what level of respect they deserve, but you always want to respect them as a
Yeah.
person,
Absolutely.
as a
Respect them
human
as a
being.
person. And I think that would help to eliminate a lot of the situations that we see. Like people just don't, have respect. I think I saw the other day in Cleveland, there was a protest where I think it was at a faith organization, a church. And I believe that the seniors are begging, like telling the youth, like, please stop hurting us.
Yeah.
Start respecting us. Stop abusing us. Like we robbing our elders. Like where have we gotten? Like where has our society, like what are we doing, y'all?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like Lauren Hill a little bit. Like where do we lose our way that we don't respect our elders? We don't respect children. Men don't respect women. Women don't respect men. Women don't respect themselves. Like we don't respect authority. Like granted, we see corruption on every level. I see that people have already mentioned corruption. Corruption has always been,
And it
and it
will
will
always
always
be.
be.
Yes.
It will always be. But how we respond to corruption, like we look at the guy again that we were just talking about in Costco. Like, yes, he felt disrespected. He reacted, and his life has changed forever. Just like that man is gone, his life will never be the same either. So, was it worth it? Like, was it worth it?
This guy drove from another state, went to a Costco to handle his business, and his
Yes.
life has changed.
And
He'll probably
he
never
will
get out of
never,
jail.
he'll never, probably never get out of
No,
jail.
because he can't
And
pay the $5 million bond.
exactly. Yeah.
Let me ask you. So while you were talking, I started smiling, which that normally indicates something. Everything you just said was so on point and powerful, and all of those things exist in their conversations, irrespective of race, gender, sexual orientation.
So basically, what Judge has said,
I don't even know if we need to go
I
into
lost
it
my
right now.
argument that was pre
Yeah.
our going live. He basically just said I shot myself in the
Well,
foot a little
well,
bit.
but I respect you, so I won't, I won't go that hard. I'll say, just again, neutrality is important. All right,
Yes.
I want to give you one more story, and then we'll continue to talk, and then we're going to get some questions.
Yes.
The second one was in Florida. Once again, a 42-year-old woman pulled a gun over close parking, and she pulled up to the person at Target, one of your favorite places,
Yes.
and said, "I got that on me." SHIT.
Mm-hmm.
So over close parking, again, the fact that all of us have the ability to carry a weapon does not mean that we should carry a weapon. And in fact, I'm here to tell you that most of us should not, because we're all one moment away from a breakdown at any point.
Absolutely. And if I could just be a little bit more personal, like I have been, my family have been impacted by gun violence. Like I have lost 2 family members to death by a gun, and then the 2 people who killed them lost their lives, their freedom, and they're in prison. And in both cases, there were regrets. There was, I wish I would have stopped and thought. I didn't mean, like, it's just not worth it. So if you're not thinking straight, you can't put yourself in a position where you can make things worse. If I know myself, that's why the key is really, the start is knowing yourself, right? Like that's why this work that we promote is so important. Becoming a cycle breaker. If I know myself, like me, I know that my genes, right? We don't do well with guns. I know where I come from. I know the family that I grew up in. I know my capability. So why would I put myself in those situations? I have to work to overcome, to break those cycles, to maintain my mind so that I don't make a decision that will keep me away from my kids.
Okay. We have to talk about that. Again, I have to make notes for another session. Okay. Breaking generational cycles from the standpoint, because what you just said was so powerful, because what you were saying was something that I struggle with, again, knowing who you are DNA wise and what your tendencies are. But what I also want to go back to what people need to take away from this, and I'm just going to have her maybe repeat it, but what she said for all of those individuals out there, like, I have a right to carry a gun and blah, 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 we get it. But what you haven't necessarily experienced is what she has experienced. And what she's saying is family members lost, and not only lost, but she was able to speak to the perpetrators to now hear their perspective after they've had time to think about it. So while you're sitting there saying, I would do this, I would do that, sometimes you don't see the other side, right? Yeah. You're saying you've seen the other side, and now it's all reflection. Yeah. I should have walked away.
Yeah. Or seeing the aftermath, in our family, the ripple effect, like how it's changed the dynamic of our interactions, forever. And knowing that these weren't horrible people. Like it's easy for us to even say, like, these are horrible, violent individuals. Like these are people who, what you said, what's your book? How not to lose your
yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Yeah. These are people who decide, right? But these are, you had something that said how not to lose your.
Oh yeah, that was another ebook, how not to lose your shit.
So these are people in my these are people in my family who lost it. These aren't bad people. These are people who was traveling through life, and life just happening, and they lost control, and it changed them forever. Like we just want to see people stop making decisions that change us forever, our communities, because it starts on an individual level down to your children, your family that you connected to, the community you live in. Like, honestly, that Strongsville, we didn't need that, y'all. As the African American community did not need for African American person to kill anyone in Strongsville. They already have determined who we are in that city.
Right.
So we did not need that as a culture. We did not need that as a race. We did not need that. So what this young man did, set us back. He set us back
100 years.
We got to prove ourselves. So all of our African American residents who are out in that city, they have to now deal with the aftermath of his decision. And that is the level of responsibility that we carry, each of us.
Another topic. I need to write these down because we spoke the other day. Seriously, you said it. I'm glad I had this recording, because you just spoke about how certain heinous acts by anybody can set a whole culture or race back, and then we need to rebuild. We talked about the other day versus the need to rebuild, the need to represent versus the need to be authentic.
Okay.
We talked about that.
Yeah, we talk about that. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. I would love to have a whole, because I'm sure a lot of people have a lot to say about it.
What you just said is different than what you've said in other situations.
Okay, how so? You went there, Judge. Okay. So you need to.
So when we talked about how you and your husband and your family showed up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were totally different in the sense that you felt.
But I wasn't violent.
But you were saying that the being authentic as an African American woman, man, and family, for you was important.
Yes.
And you didn't care to represent a certain view.
To that, that predominantly white institution, to have our son interviewed to go to a school that he now attends. I wanted to make sure that we weren't going to that interview pretentious.
Okay.
I wanted us to show up as us. I wanted them to see a family. I had locks. They had they had braids. My husband had Jordans on. I wanted them to see that we could look this way and we can still show our brilliance, our intelligence, our integrity. Like, I wanted them to see our excellence in the purest form, but I wouldn't have gone there, pretending to be something that I'm not. I wouldn't have gone there if I went there violently and acted a fool. If they said my son couldn't get in that school and I went up there and I'm, showing my tail, then now I feel like that's when, I could hurt my culture.
Okay. So what you were saying in that situation, regardless of how you showed up physically, that you were going to represent the greatness of your culture.
Absolutely. Okay. That's what I meant.
A couple things for housekeeping. My computer up here is frozen. I see some questions. We do want to have your questions. Housekeeping. I'm at Judge Dawson. Your TikTok is?
I am Tierra Banks.
I am Tierra Banks. That's on Instagram and TikTok. Follow us, because we're going to be doing this. And we don't, as she mentioned, she alluded to the fact that we don't just come on here to talk. We've actually founded a school of transformation right here in this court, because what we know is that people need transformation more than they need punishment and incarceration. So we have this school that goes beyond the walls. It has encompassed her personal program that she developed, Mended Women LLC, and you have the mother-daughter coaching, you have the relationship coaching. I do the cycle breaking stuff. So this is the work that we do.
Yes.
Also, I don't know if it's available, but on TikTok, you can buy my cycle breaker book. It's in my TikTok store.
Oh, absolutely.
So go to my TikTok store if you're there. I don't know how to do it. I'm learning this stuff because I don't see it on this screen, but it should be available.
Like it might be frozen there.
It's called The Cycle Breaker. It talks about ways that you can break cycles. Most importantly, it's a story that follows. I should quiz you, but I know you'll lose. It follows 5 young men on a journey from where they were to their greatest self. So check out my book. Get it in the TikTok stores, The Cycle Breaker. Okay, let's answer some questions. Let's go.
Wait, okay, we about to answer questions, but then I just wanted to do a shameless plug here, because if you are in Cleveland or East Cleveland, near our area, we also have some groups that occur.
Yes.
So I facilitate a group every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. called the Mending Women group, where we talk about these same skills, how to transform our lives so we don't, repeat patterns, so that we can break cycles and, disrupt, dysfunction. So meet us here at 1:30 on Tuesday.
Maybe one day I'll be able to convince her, because I've tried to have her live stream it or record it or something like that. Maybe I'll come in for our TikTok family and record it so you can see it if you're not here. But if you are in Northeastern Ohio and you want to enjoy and engage in some meaningful conversation with a room full of women from all walks of life, those who are at the highest highs and some of them at the lowest lows, but all talking about transformation, come join Tierra Banks, and that is Tuesdays at 1:30. All right. A couple of questions. Let's see. Someone said, can you talk about sovereign citizens?
citizen.
I wonder, is this going to scroll up? Which we had stuff like this. Okay, it's scrolling up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so sovereign
Maybe.
citizens.
Mhm.
Generally, I would like to say that is I say the same thing. That is a hard road to travel in this country.
Mhm.
You know, you can go to YouTube and you can do the research and you can look up all these things, but I'm gonna tell you, hundreds of thousands of years of existence of government, it doesn't change based on what you read today. So you are not going to all of a sudden not be, able to or have to answer to a judge or to the police officers or have to get a license to travel. All those things you need. But if you read these laws and you believe that you're sovereign, I'm telling you, once you run into the legal system, that's where your work begins. It's easy to look at the stuff on Instagram and talk to your children and raise them in them ways. But once you run into the legal system, it's going to get rough for you. So I don't suggest it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you do. You know anything about that?
The only thing I want to add to that thought is I know as a judge you don't suggest it. However, there are going to be people who are still watching and they're still, they're going to subscribe to that, that lifestyle. And I just would want to encourage them, even in that, watch the chip on your shoulder, because when you walk in a room and you are a sovereign citizen, like you already have, an asterisk against you. Yes. So your attitude, like you can't come in because again, no matter how much you know, there is still someone in authority over that case at that time. And your interaction will and can, influence the outcome. Anything you want to add to that?
Coming from a judge, I'm just going to repeat what she said. Your attitude is important, right? Even if you believe the sovereign citizen creed and you walk by that, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But when you come into a courtroom and you're up against the laws that exist, come in with a positive attitude, charming. Let's talk about it.
Pleasant and respectful, because we see a lot though.
And we'll make it through it.
Yeah, we see a lot of where they're not respectful.
And when you come in like that and you're not respectful,
entitled.
We shut it down.
Absolutely.
We shut it down. Absolutely. And we bump heads at that point. You can't win when you bump heads at that point.
Absolutely.
All right, there's a question that says, or just noted that in some jurisdictions, they have enhanced sentencing for crimes against vulnerable populations. Mm-hmm. That's important. I think in Ohio, we may not have that statutorily, but the judges look at that. Mm-hmm. If I have a person that beats someone that's homeless or a person that's mental ill.
Our elders, our children.
Yes.
People who can't defend themselves.
Your sentencing will be different for sure. Let me see if we have a couple other questions here. I don't think my questions on here are not hitting up. Someone says, have Second Amendment's right been abused? Have your rights to have a weapon? Mm-hmm. Have they? They've been abused. Well, and we, I don't know if we want to say this, but we were saying that, truthfully, in today's time, okay, this is how we'll frame it. In today's time, given the climate, because that was on my notes, the environment, the climate, do we need to have weapons? Mm-hmm. And I would say probably not.
And remember, we also added that, when we were just talking, because this is just our dialogue between each other, maybe you still have your weapons at home where you can protect your castle, your domain, because again, it's to eliminate threats. But just to have everybody outside just walking with guns, you have people that are impaired, with guns, even though it's against the law. Like everybody is armed. It's just not safe for our collective. I know it makes me afraid. I have 2 children, and just to know that my children are navigating this world where they may encounter someone who could simply look at them, feel threatened, and end their life just because they have the gun, just because they feel the threat. It just does not make me feel good as a parent.
If you think it makes her feel uncomfortable as a parent, imagine what a police officer feels when they pull your car over, or any car. Yeah. All the windows are tinted black. It's dark outside, and they know that everyone can carry a gun. Yeah. So they're on edge. Yeah. So what we're saying is the Second Amendment, yes, you have a right to bear arms, and we think of it from the standpoint of protect your home and your property. But to walk around to Costco and have a gun on you, or to be a worker at Taco Bell with your gun on you so you shoot 3 people over soda, or to be a woman mad about a parking spot too close so you pull your gun, that is not what the framers intended. Right. Period. Mm-hmm. I say period. All right. Let's see if there's anyone. Let me see. But even if you have a gun or a knife, we'll do that. We'll do what they do. Yeah. A gun or a knife? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, violence is going to happen regardless, right?
Yeah, and someone mentioned Arkansas. I can't see its cutoff, but it says that we're wrong. Proof is here in Arkansas. Maybe you could elaborate.
Where's it at?
Right here. Maybe they're saying that.
Okay.
They're disagreeing with us saying that.
As a safe society, sorry, you're both wrong. Proof is here in Arkansas. Everyone has a Michelle.
If you could elaborate a little bit, what does Arkansas have? What are you saying? Are you saying everyone has a gun and it's still safe, or we don't know, but feel free to elaborate.
And for some reason, it looks like it's not. I'm scared to reload this.
Yeah.
But you're saying in Arkansas, everyone has a it cut off.
Yeah, I'm not sure. What she meant by that.
Let's see if we do a reply. Will it do anything? Nope, it doesn't help. All right, well, it's not even Michelle. It's Michael. Michael, sorry about that.
Oh, it does say Michael. Sorry.
Michael, you were giving us a perspective from Arkansas. I would love to know that because this podcast, we are up here in Ohio. Mm-hmm. So I would love to hear what the perspective is in Arkansas. Mm-hmm. We're talking about cases all across the country, Florida, and things like that.
And what we see every day.
And generally, even more than talking about guns, we're talking about just this new attitude and climate of violence.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have mentioned the anger issues. Like, I see some saying that there needs to be more anger management.
Yeah, there should be more anger management.
Yeah.
As well as self-defense and de-escalation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. See if that works. Okay, I agree with you on the de-escalation. But here's a question. Where does that training come in? Like, do we train people before we let them have a gun, or are we asking people now who have a weapon to go get training, and it's not going to happen?
Right.
But your de-escalation skills, to me, should start as early as elementary school. Mm-hmm. When you see two people or if you're a parent and you see your little kid getting into it with someone else, what do you do as a parent? What do you show that child in ways of de-escalation? Or do you walk down the street and say, y'all better leave my son alone, or you better fight him, little Johnny? Or are you teaching them early to de-escalate?
Right. I remember there was a reel a few weeks back that was circulating social media where a mom fought her son's bus driver. I don't know if you saw that one.
Yes.
But in front of her, first of all, the bus driver got the best of her. And so much so where her son even tried to jump in. But for me watching it, it was like, wow, like what an example. Because I didn't see a situation that happened before that. Maybe I don't have the full context, but was it worth her teaching her son to fight like over nothing, over anything? I actually asked my son just yesterday a question about, we were talking about him wanting an electric bike. And I said, what would you do if somebody approached you on your bike and told you to get off your bike? Like, what would you do? Just because, I'm taking temperature, like, where's my son? And, and he was like, I'm not just going to let them take my stuff.
Okay.
And it was a really, I found myself as a parent between a rock and a hard place because I'm raising a man who I, want to raise to protect him, his stuff, his family. But then I also have to take into consideration this world. So, I was trying, and I still don't even know if I answered it correctly, but I was trying to let him know, like, there are instances where you fight for things. A bike, I don't know, son, that's not one of them. I'll buy you 12 more bikes.
Yeah.
Then plan your funeral. I don't want you to even guess, like, what if they have a weapon? I don't even want you to say it's worth taking a chance. It's a bike. I don't care. If everybody clown you for getting off your bike and coming home, I'll take you straight to the store and get a new one.
I get that. And that's interesting. And I'm going to tie that into what Michael said. So Michael said,
okay, he did respond.
I see people every day walking in Walmart with a sidearm and I feel safer. So let me tell you, let me relate that to what Mrs. Banks is bringing up about her child. First of all, the reason you feel safer with your sidearm is because you know other people have sidearms. If no one had a gun, you would not feel unsafe unless you just can't fight and defend yourself as a man, right? And not saying that you need to be able to. So for your son, as I'm sitting here thinking, hey, man, what would I say to my son? And my son is in martial arts and all this stuff. You know what I would say? Son, I would hope that you would analyze the situation really quickly and make a decision. Do I give up my bike right now or do I fight? And if I'm going to fight, does this person possibly have a weapon on them? What kind of energy are they bringing? You know what I mean? Do they have their hand in their pocket? Because if they show that they have a sidearm on them, I'm going to give up the bike, right? So you're right, because you're balancing raising a man to be strong, but you also want our men to be smart.
Absolutely. Because that's correct. Like, we have to be able to analyze situation, which is what we see a lot of adults failing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I'm, you know, anti-safe zones, easy kill zones for unarmed. Yeah. So, you know, I get it.
I think that's a law question for you. Is a gun in your country if called first-class felony?
No, a gun in our country, it's legal in most areas to have a gun in this country. But I'll say this last time, because Michael, I respect you. I don't even know you, but again, we talked about respecting people as human beings. I respect your opinion. I just want to state that the need to feel safe is based on the fact that other people have weapons.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, if let's say we were in a country with no guns and the only people that had them were police officers, they wouldn't even have a reason to pull their gun in most cases, and they would probably be prosecuted if they walked up to somebody with their hand on the gun, because now they're raising the level of engagement when there's no reason to. So yeah.
And there are countries who have no weapons, right? And they've proven to have lower crime rates. So we're not saying that we have the end all solution. Like, we are literally here just having this this think tank with you, because really we have to figure something out. Like, this violence is not working for our community. Like, we are losing our youth at an alarming rate. We are watching our elders be slain, beaten, abused. Like, all of this is unnecessary. So we don't have the solution. So keep them coming.
Yeah. And keep in mind, Michael, I appreciate you totally. You said it's not just the guns that kill.
But what if that evolved over time to extreme police brutality?
Yeah.
That's a possibility that we would have to address.
We'd have to put it in check, because I'll tell you, just generally speaking, I have not yet seen a case, and I've only been a judge for 15 years and in law for over 20 years. I haven't seen a case where any individual with a sidearm has won a case for shooting a police officer. So to say, that your sidearm is going to prevent police brutality, it's not. It's not. That violence is going to happen to all of us. Tragic situations are going to happen, and that police officer will have to go to jail for what he or she has done.
Violence is not the answer. Yeah, absolutely. Someone did mention that it's not just the guns that kill, knives and other means also. Absolutely.
Exactly.
That's why we started talking with, people losing their cool.
With losing their cool and violence.
Absolutely. You can use a car, a vehicle to hurt somebody. It's just the violence that we're inflicting on one another just because.
And guess what? You can't bring a gun to a knife fight. Legally, you can't. So yeah, other things kill people. But when we talk about guns, if I have a knife, you can't pull out your gun and defend yourself. You can pull out your knife. No.
So talk about that.
All right, let's talk about that. So if I have a knife, right? And if I'm standing this close, or I'm sitting this close to Mrs. Banks with my knife, this is called imminent danger. So now maybe if she has a knife, no doubt she can pull out her knife. Maybe she can pull out a gun because it's imminent. If she is 3 steps away from me, she is expected to either pull out a knife or go the other way. But you cannot raise the level of violence or defense and claim self-defense. Now, on the contrary to that, in many states in America, there's the stand your ground law that changes that a little bit. Because now you don't have to move at all. You can sit right here, or you can stand right there and say, yeah, I was 3 feet away from you, but I knew you can get 3 feet in about 3 seconds. So I pulled out my gun and I killed you. So a lot of nuances, but generally speaking,
we appreciate that.
It's just so much violence.
Yeah, someone said, wow, didn't know that. That's the advantage to having the judge here on TikTok, because we got to know.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You're right.
Absolutely.
You're right. So that's why we're here. We're here to bring you information. We're here to have positive dialogue that actually helps with transforming lives.
Absolutely.
Again, her IG and TikTok is?
I am Tierra Banks.
And I am at Judge Dawson. We would love to stay here forever. But we got to put a cap on it at some point.
Absolutely. I think we should close with what Happy Phoenix shared around 44,000 people died of gun-related injuries in the United States in 2024, according to the CDC.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Let that marinate.
We'll let that be the final statement. And again, look, we're going to look to connect with you. You can follow us on Instagram. TikTok is at Judge Dawson. I am Tierra Banks. We can't say it enough. You can buy my book, hopefully at the TikTok shop. It's called The Cycle Breaker. It will change your life. Want to change your life?
It will change your life.
If you read it from beginning to end, it will change your life.
Yes, and it's changed so many of our
people come. Yeah,
I say clients, right? Our friends that are on probation. It has changed their life. It has truly changed their life.
Or at least planted a seed, right? Because we need the change is constant, right?
Absolutely.
But all right, we've enjoyed this time. We will see you next week. Make sure you follow all the handles that we have. We just put up a post on our Instagram. We have a new Instagram called TSO Transformation.
The School of Transformation.
And I just put up a reel that Mrs. Banks made speaking to relationships. So check that out on Instagram, TSO Transformation. Follow there too, because all of that will be School of Transformation information. All right, we're out of here. Be blessed, be amazing.